Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Charles Montorio Archer, President and CEO at One Hope United, and I'm honored to welcome Governor Pritzker, Leader Holmes, Secretary Ho, and guests to our Sprouted Early Learning Center in Aurora. Since 1895, founded in Dover's Grove, One Hope United has been focused on protecting children, strengthening families, and stabilizing communities. Annually, we work with over 10,000 children, youth, and families in Illinois, Florida, Missouri, and Wisconsin, providing early learning and childcare, foster care and adoption, residential supports, and behavioral health services. It is now my honor to introduce Governor Pritzker. Governor.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you very much, Doctor. Thanks for your very kind introduction. Before I begin, I want to say a big thank you to so many people who work right here in Aurora to help our children to be so important in their future. This is really an amazing part of the state where I think children do so well because of the special nature of the assistance that they get from people in this community, and I'm very grateful for all of that. And I want to say to everybody, good afternoon, and I of course want to thank Charles Montorio Archer, the President and CEO of One Hope United, for hosting us today to talk early childhood education, one of my favorite topics, as well as I want to thank a leader in our state Senate, Linda Holmes, who's been a partner in so many important accomplishments over the last couple of years for our children. Superintendent Jeff Craig of the West Aurora School District 129, and Trish Rooney with Fox Valley United Way. I want to thank all of them for all that they do for our children and our families, particularly here in the Aurora region. I'm very pleased also to be joined by State Schools Superintendent Dr. Carmen Ayala, our Illinois Department of Human Services Secretary Grace Ho, and the President and CEO of Illinois Action for Children, that's April Janney. And of course, I am very, very grateful for the engagement and passion of the members of the Commission on Equitable Early Childhood Education and Care Funding, represented today by Deputy Governor Jesse Ruiz, by George Davis, the former Executive Director of the City of Rockford Department of Human Services, Advance Illinois President Robin Staines, who dedicates so much of her life, really, to lifting up the children of the state of Illinois. Phyllis Glink, who I have worked with now for decades in the early childhood world. She's the executive director of the Irving Harris Foundation. And Kristen Bernhard, the senior vice president of policy and advocacy at Start Early. In December of 2019, I asked early childhood leaders to join together to develop the best and most innovative approaches to providing affordable, high-quality early childhood education and childcare for all children in Illinois, birth to 5. And they have done truly exemplary work. Despite fighting through a health pandemic, a racial reckoning, a financial and fiscal crisis, the Commission produced the Ready Illinois Report, which finally addresses the often disjointed and underfunded system of our state's early childhood provision of services. And as if to predict that the American Rescue Plan would be passed, the Commission's timing couldn't have been better. Today, I'm pleased to announce that Illinois will receive $1.6 billion in federal funding to advance our mission to provide affordable childcare and early childhood education. Last year, my administration created the nation-leading model for pandemic emergency childcare grants. In the worst throes of this pandemic, Illinois dedicated $290 million to 5,000 child care centers and homes in 95 counties across our state, allowing them to stay afloat through a truly challenging year. And that funding offered support far beyond the national standard. and families in need of childcare were able to lower their out-of-pocket cost. The program has been so successful that we will use the first of these new American Rescue Plan dollars to provide another round of funding to it. Over the next 3 weeks, another $140 million will go to providers all around the state to extend this successful program. That's money that will allow child care providers to pay rent and to maintain staff and supplies and training so that our child care workforce is best equipped to meet this moment. In short, it's an investment in the future of our state. This influx of resources comes in tandem with the Commission's roadmap for the future of our early childhood system, one that will truly protect and nurture low-income children, children in rural communities, children of color, and children with disabilities, one that will make it much easier for parents to navigate getting assistance, simpler for early childhood programs to get funding, and more responsive to local needs in the community. Now, I want to make sure you all understand this will be an enormous task. What the Commission proposes represents a seismic shift from the status quo for how early childhood in this state should go. So these are changes that will be a sustained effort, and they will require significant resources. But a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Today we are taking not just one of those steps, but a few of them forward on that journey. To kick off this work, we're making more permanent state government's focus on early childhood by creating a new division of early childhood in the Department of Human Services to strengthen and centralize our child care, our home visiting, and our early intervention services at the agency. We are also launching a network of statewide early childhood planning councils, engaging early childhood providers, school systems, civic leaders, and the business community to ensure the community has the early childhood services that it truly needs. Spark Aurora is a great example of that collaboration at work, and it's our plan to bring a similar model to cities and towns all across the state of Illinois. And we're establishing an early childhood transformation team in partnership with Northern Illinois University. I've said many times that Illinois will become the best state in the United States to raise young children. There's an awful lot more to do, but today's actions set Illinois once again on the right path for the future, the path that our children and our families deserve. Now I'm very proud to introduce a leader in Illinois' early childhood landscape for more than 3 decades, a man so motivated to help and so fierce in his advocacy for children that he came out of retirement to do this, to be the co-chair of our commission. So ladies and gentlemen, George Davis.
Thank you, Governor, for that very, very kind and generous introduction. I was reminded that when I was asked, by the governor to take on being one of the commissioners, that one of my fellow commissioners said to me because she knew that I had been involved with early learning for such a long time with the State Early Learning Council. And she's here today, and I won't really call her a name, but she knows who she is. She said, "You can run, but you can't hide." And but fortunately, I wasn't trying to, and it's been a tremendous honor to serve on this commission, and owe a great debt of gratitude to my fellow commissioners and to the governor for giving us this charge. My task today is mainly to share with you some of the high-level findings of the commission, so that the remarks that the governor gave about the charge that he gave to us and the initial steps that are being taken to fulfill it can be put into context with the work of the commission. And the governor has already mentioned that the commission was formed in December of 2019, And essentially, we were asked to be bold, in other words, and as the governor has referred to, the recommendations that we're making are not just simply incremental improvement focus, but really focused on transformational change and fundamental system change. Really, as we studied and really deliberated on what needed to happen, three primary areas of focus emerged. First, we urge the state to use the Commission's long-term funding goal, which is really, as the governor mentioned, something that's going to really require perhaps quite a long time to fully fulfill, but to really use that to focus on important policy change, understanding that the true cost of providing equitable access to high-quality early education and care, and to begin working toward fully funding the system with a combination of federal, state, and local investment will have to occur over time, but that we need to understand that those investments have to be made. Secondly, we recommend simplifying the way that early childhood programs and funding streams are accessed and how resources are actually moved to local communities by creating a more stable funding mechanism. Things like contracts that bring funding streams together at the state level rather than expecting individual programs at the local level to navigate and figure out how to put together various sources of funding. Thirdly, we recommend that Illinois really move toward establishing a centralized early childhood education and care program agency that is really responsible as a single agency for managing and administering these programs in a way that brings greater coherence, transparency, equity, and really consistency with early childhood policy and best practice. So in the process of doing all of these things and trying to really accomplish these broad and challenging goals of bringing greater streamlined funding to how funding flows, to having a centralized agency that works on behalf of parents and providers, and really investing more and more in our young children, we also are really strongly committed to and really strongly recommend that the state must look at its work through a racial equity lens. The reality is that while we, in many ways, have many challenges to have a fully robust system that really ensures that all children and families' needs are met throughout the state in lots of different settings, there remain huge disparities in the outcomes and access for too many of our black and brown children and children who are recent immigrant families and many other families who don't find it quite so easy to take advantage of the services that we find, or barriers that often keep them out of really receiving those benefits. It's really crucial that we really look at the data that tells us how we're doing with regard to closing those disparities. Now, we recognize that these recommendations require some more study. One of the things that's clear is that even some of our data about the impacts on some of the populations that we need to really serve better is not really quite as good as it needs to be, and that's going to be something that's going to be an ongoing challenge. But it's necessary that we take it on very intentionally. And so with all of that being said, we're very excited that the governor really has announced these important first steps that the state is taking on that journey of 1,000 miles. In particular, the investment in regional and community systems is one of the other crucial parts of the journey that's being embarked upon today. The community systems really that have to do with how we engage the local communities in the planning and coordination of services to ensure that children are all connected, that all families have a voice, is a crucial necessary part of the infrastructure, and has to be matched by the state's own efforts to ensure that the other provisions that I mentioned before are in place to support that process. And I know that my fellow commissioners would join me in thanking the governor again for the opportunity to serve this commission, and we look forward to the opportunity to continue to support the governor in his effort to prioritize these investments and to take the necessary steps so that that journey will be assured of eventually reaching its goal. Thank you again, Governor, and it's my task now to introduce Representative Ayala. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here to learn about the exciting advancement in one of the most important services that our government provides, and that's early childhood education. I believe strongly in the importance of early childhood education because I know what the science and the data say about how pivotal the early childhood years are to establishing the foundation for a healthy and a successful life. I know the research that says every dollar invested in high-quality early childhood education returns $7 to $12 back in economic impact. And on a personal level, like many superintendents, I'm a former teacher. In fact, I was a kindergarten bilingual teacher right here, just around the corner where we are standing now in East Aurora School District 131. And perhaps most important of all, I'm a proud grandmother. I'm a grandmother of a preschool granddaughter and a kindergarten granddaughter. So this age group is a top priority for me, and I am just so excited about the recommendations being made here today and about Governor Pritzker's long-standing commitment to early childhood education that has already resulted in historic increases in access and quality among our early learning programs. Thanks to these historic increases in funding for the Early Childhood Block Grant, 10,000 more students attended early childhood programs last year before even entering kindergarten. These investments also helped 655 programs increase the quality of their services, and we know these investments are making a difference. Every year, kindergarten teachers across the state use the observational tool we call KIDS, and it's used to build an understanding of where children are developmentally when they first enter kindergarten. The most recent collected data showed that for 2 consecutive years, there have been increases in kindergarten readiness. State support for early childhood programs makes possible that families who could not otherwise afford it are able to give their children the start to the life that they deserve. And this support is especially important for our English learners, who make up almost 1/3 of Illinois' preschool for all population. So I'm particularly excited about the recommendations in the report to strengthen services for our English learners. Our commitment to early childhood education is the foundation of our work at the agency. We know that a successful K-12 system depends on very strong and tight alignment with high-quality preschool. And that's why we are directing a portion of our federal pandemic relief funds to promote enrollment in preschool and support children's transitions into kindergarten. I have deep gratitude to Governor Pritzker for making this work a priority, deep appreciation for everyone on this commission, and especially everyone in the working groups who spent time and energy formulating this plan. My greatest gratitude and thanks. And so now I will turn over the next speaker, who will be Secretary Grace Ho of the Illinois Department of Human Resources.
Good morning. Thank you, Superintendent Ayala. The Department of Human Services is committed to being a strong partner with all of our sister agencies, and it's always a pleasure to work with the Illinois State Board of Education. And under the leadership of Governor Pritzker, we are excited to become the best state in the country for early childhood, and I think these funding commission recommendations set us on the path towards that vision. The Department of Human Services has critical early childhood programs that support hundreds of thousands of families in Illinois every year. And this includes 3 main services. The Child Care Assistance Program helps families afford child care every year. It is a part of a child care office that funds resource and referral agencies upon which this new initiative will build and grow. Quality supports for providers, mental health supports, educator scholarships, and more. The Early Intervention Program, which supports families in promoting their child's optimal development through services to identify and remediate delays. And then several home visiting and coordinated intake programs, including VNA Healthcare, Family Focus, and the Kane County Health Department right here in Aurora. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, with the governor's leadership and support, we have taken dramatic action to protect these systems, and we will use the additional federal funds to further strengthen our system, stabilize providers, fortify the workforce, build regional and community leadership, and build equity into the fabric of our services, all to better services across the state. Within the Illinois Department of Human Services, the Division of Family and Community Services is the agency's largest division, and the Office of Early Childhood is the largest office within that division. And as early childhood in Illinois grows, evolves, and strengthens, it's time that the Office of Early Childhood grow and advance as well, to even more effectively serve additional families. In order to prioritize young children and families in our state, as the governor announced, the Department of Human Services is creating a division of early childhood. This division will launch on July 1st, and we will begin the transition work immediately in preparation for that date. With a new division focused entirely on early childhood, we will continue to support and stabilize families, educators, and providers through the rest of the pandemic and beyond, as we work to build back better our system of early childhood. We will also be able to take steps towards the vision described in the Commission's report. We will be able to continue our child care restoration grants, which have helped thousands of child care centers and homes to keep their doors open for families. We will be able to modernize and integrate our data systems to improve our ability to make data-informed decisions across our various programs, and we will be able to make responsible and sustainable improvements to our early childhood programs in the months to come, informed by a whole child approach to services. We are so energized about these efforts that will lay the groundwork for improved, expanded, and more equitable services for the families in Illinois. Thank you. And with that, it is my great pleasure to introduce Phyllis Glink, the President and CEO of the Irving Harris Foundation.
Hello, everybody. Nice to see you on such a beautiful day. I'm honored to speak here today on behalf of the Illinois Early Learning Council, which I'm grateful to co-chair with Deputy Governor Jesse Ruiz. I want to thank Governor Pritzker, Superintendent Ayala, Secretary Ho, First Assistant Deputy Governor Teresa Hawley, and all the leaders in the administration who champion this issue every day. We are very appreciative of the many investments that Governor Pritzker and his team have made in early childhood during this very challenging time. The child care restoration grants have provided needed relief for struggling child care providers across the state, and we are thrilled that Congress has followed Illinois' lead to provide historic levels of funding to ensure our child care industry does not become a victim of this pandemic. We appreciate the partnership we have had with the administration, and we look forward to working together to chart a path that prudently invests the $1.6 billion in relief funding that Illinois will be receiving for child care through the recent federal aid packages. The Illinois Early Learning Council strongly supports the Funding Commission's findings and its bold vision for an early childhood system in Illinois that will ensure all children and families have access to the quality services they need to enter kindergarten ready to succeed. We recognize that the Commission's report lays out a long-term vision, a North Star, to guide us from where we are now to where we need to be with respect to much more robust investments in early childhood funding and changes in governance and the way we support families and providers. We are proud to work with the governor and his leadership team to do the heavy lifting that will make this vision a reality. As the executive director of the Irving Harris Foundation, I have partnered with the governor since his days in private philanthropy. Throughout his career, he has shared our commitment to ensuring Illinois' youngest residents have the opportunity to thrive and has invested through the Pritzker Children's Initiative in programs, advocacy, and leadership development initiatives that are finally paying off in ways that we always dreamed. We are now seeing unprecedented support at the federal level that will change the early childhood education system nationwide and here in Illinois. This is a moment for transformative change in early childhood. Others have spoken to it, but really we need to pause. This is a moment for transformation. And I'm proud to see that strong leadership and action are guiding us toward a more collaborative and supportive system that aims to meet the needs of all young children and families, particularly those who have been historically left out of the system. The pandemic and the reckoning with racial injustice laid bare the fragility of our state's childcare and early learning system and the disproportionate impact on Black and brown families and providers. To build back better, our state must create a more equitable, comprehensive, and coordinated system that provides all families with the opportunity to access the care they need to ensure their children thrive and their own families remain stable. The governor's leadership, coupled with the commission's bold recommendations and the infusion of substantial new federal resources in childcare and early learning systems and services, provide a moment of opportunity to make significant progress on the governor's commitment to make Illinois the best state in the nation for families raising young children. The investment in regional and community systems, as has been mentioned, is an especially important first step for advancing greater racial equity in our early childhood system. The Early Learning Council is committed to continuing to center racial justice and racial equity and to working with the governor and his leadership team to ensure that we build back an early learning system that reflects that commitment. I'm looking forward to seeing this work through and to continuing to partner with the governor as we make real, lasting change for young children in Illinois. Now I am delighted to introduce my colleague, Trish Rooney, a fellow commissioner and leader of Aurora's highly impactful Spark Early Childhood Coalition. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. Just want to start off by saying what a wonderful way to end the Week of the Young Child and really focusing on the first 5 years. So thank you. And I'm honored to join the governor and state leaders as we lift the voices of families and children in communities. As a member of the Early Childhood Funding Commission, the governor urged us to think big to address the challenges and inequities in race, class, and gender that Illinois families and their young children face when trying to access resources and services in the early childhood system. I applaud the governor in his support of our recommendation to establish a community and regional infrastructure to ensure that community input, particularly those of families and local providers, inform state policies and program practices. This is a great first investment on the path to actualize the 3 big recommendations of building a stronger, more aligned, and fully funded system that was imagined in the Commission. In Aurora, the establishment of Spark Early Childhood Collaboration 9 years ago brought city government, school districts, community agencies, and local philanthropies together under one agenda of ensuring that all 20,000 children birth to age 5 have equitable access to high-quality early childhood resources and education. Community planning has led to strategies that have helped us to grow our community's capacity to enroll more children in early childhood programs and to paving a clearer path for families to enroll and access family support services. Most importantly, Aurora Childhood Programs and community agencies are working in collaborative partnership to holistically support the needs of families and their young children. It is exactly these strategies that the governor is investing in that will lead to increased equity in the COVID recovery. As a member of a local early childhood collaboration, the support of the governor to establish a community and regional infrastructure recognizes that for systemic change to occur, the voice of local communities need to be recognized and be part of the statewide systems of support and planning. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce a friend and a champion of early childhood, leader Linda Holmes.
Thank you, Trish, for two things. Thank you for speaking. Thank you for all you do for early childhood education. And thank you for lowering the mic to an acceptable level. I want to start out by saying welcome to everybody to Aurora. I want to thank the governor for coming here to One United Hope to do this wonderful rollout of this fantastic program. And I also want to thank all of the advocates here who have been so passionate in early childhood education. My take on the Commission's recommendation is they're spot on with recognizing that timing couldn't be better for these proposals to be implemented. And I want to focus my remarks on the child care elements for a moment. Our economy is beginning to come back, but child care is a foundation that must be reinforced to make this happen. Parents may not have access to affordable child care options, which makes returning to their jobs very difficult or nearly impossible. This is the next vital part of the foundation to get people back to work and able to stimulate the economy. The boost in support for child care providers through the child care restoration grants is vital, especially in underserved communities here in Aurora and statewide. For a long time, but particularly heightened during the pandemic, is the need to address racial and economic injustices related to child and family access, quality, cost of services, and child outcomes. The proposed agency to centralize resources and services into early childhood education and care agency makes sense. It will be a challenge, but keeping stakeholders involved in the process can provide the structure to make the system easier for parents and for providers. Child care providers have been among the hardest hit during the pandemic. It's been helpful to provide some financial relief and to receive some federal funding as well. They will continue to need support and help to ensure all families have access to affordable, reliable child care. And before I close and introduce our next speaker, I do want to make one plea out there to everybody who's watching this. If you have not been vaccinated yet, please make plans to do so. The one thing we need to stimulate the economy is to be able to get our businesses up, operating fully, and make sure everybody in the community can be up and about. So please, I urge everybody, we are in a race against time. Please get vaccinated. With that, I'm going to turn over remarks to my friend, Jeff. Jeff, you're such a friend, I'm going to mispronounce your name. So Jeff Craig, West Aurora School District 129 Superintendent.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Senator Holmes. I got your name right. And thank you, Governor Pritzker, for the invitation to speak this afternoon. In addition to serving as the proud superintendent of West Aurora Schools, I'm also the chairman of the Aurora Education Commission. This group consists of Aurora area educational leaders from preschool through post-secondary, allies from both the private and public sectors, as well as valuable workforce partners. Although we are a diverse group, sometimes with differing thoughts and ideas, there's one thing that we all agree on, and that's the importance of quality early childhood education and care system. A child's early years are the foundation for his or her future development, providing a strong base for learning in kindergarten through grade 12 and beyond. Equally important is meeting a child's social, emotional, and physical needs in order to build a solid and broad foundation for lifelong well-being. This recommendation of incorporating parent voice in planning councils will help stakeholder groups better address early childhood needs specific to their own communities. And centralizing the process will allow for the consolidation of resources and equity in offerings. And furthermore, ensuring that every community has access to those services is imperative to the collective work we do in advancing pre-K through post-secondary education in the state of Illinois. This is the largest, most purposeful, and comprehensive initiative that advocates for early childhood education and care in the past 40 years. I don't think anyone disputes the need for high-quality and accessible early childhood education. The challenge and the frustration thus far has been how we access that. This recommendation creates a plan that addresses those challenges. My admonition is, let's go do the work. At this time, I'd like to turn it back over to Governor Pritzker for questions. Thank you.
I just have a quick statement that I want to make before we end the press conference. Today I come to this event that is really about great joy about our future and our children's future. But I come with a heavy heart and profound grief. And I hope I speak for all Illinoisans who are aching for Adam Toledo and his family. The video of Adam's death is devastating. Just devastating. It is unbearable to think of his family seeing these last moments of his life. And it is searing to know that a 13-year-old lost his life in this way. It's abundantly clear that our entire system failed Adam. The appropriate authorities must move quickly to investigate and adjudicate what happened that night in Little Village in the interests of justice and accountability. For all of us, we also have much work to do. And I ask all of us to commit to this work and to pray for Adam's family, for his friends, and for his community, and to pray that all Illinoisans can be safe, especially our young people. Thank you for joining us, everybody.
Now it's up to me to clean this shit up.
All right, party's over. Everybody else, get out of here. You clean.
They just abandon you, you know.